Welcome to our postcard series on scientists at the University of Bern. I am Dr. Djouroukoro Diallo, Associate Researcher at the Center for the Study of Language and Society and coordinator of the program Initiative Afrique at the University of Bern. So today we have with us Professor Margaret Owuor. Welcome, Margaret.
Thank you once again.
So it's a pleasure to have you today, despite all of your work, all that you're doing for the university, for the scientific research at the university, or all over the world, in Switzerland, in Spain, or in Africa, back home, in Kenya. You are very busy, but we are really happy to have you today for our podcast. You're welcome. So, could you tell us something about yourself? Could you present yourself in a few words?
Yes, first I would like to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share I always call it my story, because I believe it can inspire someone. It's never so easy to put it in very few words because it's been a journey of so many things to get to where I am now. But first I studied in my bachelor's as a teacher of high school, biology and chemistry. So I studied what is known in Kenya as a Bachelor of Education Science, where I did courses in zoology and botany and also chemistry minor. I got encouraged by my parents to do sciences and especially biology, but I would have loved to do biology and geography because I loved to see the map of the world. I never thought then that I would travel the world, but then I got myself into biology, zoology and botany. So I'm a firstborn in a family of 5, so that comes with responsibility. But then maybe to take you just back to my academics, so after my undergraduate, I went on to do a master's in fisheries science from Kenyatta University in Kenya, only for 1 year because I was also facing financial challenges. So I decided to look for a job. But then instead of finding a job, I got an internship at the National Museums of Kenya, where I was attached to the Department of Ichthyology. And while at the museum, there was a course that was announced for volunteers, known as the Earthwatch programs. Then it was looking into the lakes of the Rift Valley, which are very important lakes and an important aquatic ecosystem in Kenya. So I volunteered with Earthwatch for almost 1 year. And then along the way, I also got an opportunity to join the Tropical Biology Association, which was having a field course in Uganda. So I applied and went to Uganda and stayed in the field for 1 month in Kibale National Park. So this is just to show you the journey I've traveled, because many people, they think getting to where I am has been an easy one, but I started off as a volunteer. So I did that. And then along these voluntary responsibilities, I got a scholarship to go to the UK. So I left my master's in Kenya because it was still not possible to do my fieldwork because of finances. So I went to the UK and took another master's in marine and water and coastal management, funded by the Erasmus Mundus program. So while in the UK, I saved some money and then went back and completed my master's in Kenya. So I did my fieldwork and also defended. So I have 2 masters, one in fisheries science and one in water and coastal management. Then by the time I finished my master's, I really wanted to go back to Kenya, that is Africa, because I felt I had acquired so much knowledge that I was going to make change in my country. So I went back. I started to do conservation activities. So I designed my first conservation project, which was funded by the Rafford Small Grants. And so with this, I was doing tree planting with schools, conservation education with schools in my rural village, because we have my grandparents' home is close to one of the most important bad areas, the Yala swamp. But this is really facing challenges. So I always ask myself, with all the knowledge I have, and before I get a job, because even after my master's I still didn't have a job, what can I do with myself? So when I got this grant, it was about £5,000. So I started this small conservation project. So I did that for 1 year, and then there was a government opening for jobs at the university. So I left and joined the university as an assistant lecturer, because then I only had masters. So I taught until 2014, but in 2012 I got my son. So I got married, and so I kept teaching, but in 2014 I got a PhD scholarship from Erasmus Mundus again. Remember, they funded my masters. So this time I left for Spain and Portugal. So I left my son at 2 years old, because in 2012 I had my son, and then 2014 when I was going to Spain, he was only turning 2 years. I had to leave him because I could not bring him along. I was on scholarship and I could not be able to take care of family and also study. So I went to fully focus on my studies so that I can finish quickly and go back home. Yeah, so by the time I left for my PhD, I still had my job at the university. So I always told myself that no matter what I do, I want really to go back to Africa. So even when I was doing my PhD, I told my professor, please allow me to go back and do my fieldwork in Kenya. So I worked so hard, and within almost 3 years, 6 months, I completed my PhD in marine and coastal management. So my research focused on the value of nature. So I looked at the value of mangrove ecosystems, which is a coastal forest along the coastlines of different countries. Of course, Kenya is one of them, and also we have some in Asia and Bangladesh, etc., and Brazil. So I did that, published, and then went back in 2017, and then I picked up my job again at the university. Then in 2018, I was the head of department of aquatic sciences in Kenya at a university known as Southeastern Kenya University. So I worked there until 2020. During COVID, I thought I need to find maybe a postdoc to enhance my skills, because I felt I needed to do more. So I started looking for jobs, taking short courses on how to package one's CV, how to make yourself competitive. Things that I see, like now that I'm here in Switzerland, I see people have those opportunities, but I didn't have them. So I really had to look out for them. Like job coaching, who gives that in Africa? Maybe in Kenya, I've never had anyone really focusing on job coaching. So I thought my CV was good enough, but when I got into some course at the University of Netherlands, I realized that I need to do much more with my CVs, with everything, but not very beautiful. So I had to make it better. So I did that, and then during the lockdown, I started applying for opportunities, and that's when I got the opportunity to apply for the job that now finally I am in at the University of Bern in Switzerland under the Wyss Academy for Nature.
Very nice, very nice. This is a very interesting itinerary. I mean, it was not straight away, but you arrive somewhere where you think you reach your goal. Do you think?
Yes and no, because I have never settled until I really feel I need to support many more other people through my knowledge, because I feel I've walked through a journey that many would like to walk through, but maybe they don't have the opportunity. I never had it. I also had to look for it and create it, and sometimes I say maybe I was lucky. I believe a lot in God, so I'm praying a lot. So I believe it's something that I need to share. It's not only Margaret, that people say, okay, you have achieved, you are on top of your career, but I feel there's somebody else who needs this opportunity to come up. So it's my struggle to see that I can help many other people through maybe scholarships or any opportunities that can help them to travel this journey.
Okay, very nice, very nice. But now you are at the University of Bern. You have the opportunity to help other people and to make research and to contribute in many other areas. So you are at such a position. So could you tell us what challenges or barriers have you found at the University of Bern?
First, I would like to say that it's been 2 years of my existence at the University of Bern. I only joined in 2021. So I'm also still learning the structures and processes of the university. And I would like to say that maybe I'm at the university at a time when change is needed, when we really feel there's a need for inclusivity, for looking for more out of ourselves, not just us, because there's so many things happening around the world. So I believe I look at myself as a positioned for this change. How is what I am hoping that we can work together at the Initiative Afrique, because the knowledge is out there. We all know what we need to do. We need to create more opportunities in terms of scholarships. We need to create more job opportunities that then also are inclusive, not only looking for certain people from certain regions, but open to the globe for everyone with the capacity, like I found myself with the capacity to join. But above all, I think the challenge is creating the safe space for this kind of interactions, because there's still issues around racism that we have to talk about. Of course, we don't want to talk about them in open, but if we create the safe space, then everybody will feel this is a good time to talk about it. But I feel the university is really willing, maybe through the initiatives I'm seeing taking place, and also colleagues. Like when I arrived here at my institute where I am, I think the colleagues are really embracing and welcoming. It was not easy to settle here because, you find yourself alone, no friends, but it was a challenge, yes, to fit in, but of course you can never fit in, you can only integrate. But if we create the spaces that allow us to welcome more people, it will be good.
Very nice. So, what positive aspect would you highlight of your daily life as a researcher here at the University of Bern?
Oh, very many. Because for me, I can compare. There's a lot. When I was working in Kenya in my local university, which I'm still affiliated to, you could go without power for 1 week because of power outages. Accessing open access libraries for your reading material. General work environment is quite challenging. Carrying out lab experiments was not easy, and also access to funding. We have to compete for funding globally as well with everyone else, because, for example, in Kenya we have the National Research Fund, and it's also very competitive. But I must say that the one thing I found in Switzerland is the ability to access research grants. That's something, because when I arrived, I already had a grant allocated to me as a professor, and then this allowed me to get PhD students and also postdocs and other researchers. Yeah.
So, since your time here in Bern, you've been living here for more than 2 years now. So, what kind of difficulties could you mention in your everyday life here in Bern?
One is the most family related, and one is work. For family it was very difficult because we moved in with our son and he was only speaking English, like myself and my husband. So it was difficult because we were learning High German, but people are speaking Swiss German on the streets. So some days you feel, okay, I have this High German kind of understanding, but then on the streets I don't hear the sound of this German that I'm studying. But then we got again into a German language course that was being offered by the university, and we are grateful for that because I think they paid for us everything, including for my husband. And also the move for me was I thought it was light. Maybe I underestimated. I looked at myself when I moved into Europe as a student. It was very easy. But now I realized that I was getting into administrative positions, managing a team, myself being new and also wanting to interact with colleagues, and not knowing how to make friends, and then also culturally it was difficult because in Africa we are told we are too friendly, but in here people are a bit reserved. So it's not easy to know, are we true friends? Or so this was really difficult because I'm also a very friendly person, so I had to take it easy a little bit,
What do you think is your role as an African scientist working at the University of Bern?
I would highlight maybe two key things. One is funding. If we make funding that then is also open to, because at the moment if you want to apply for funding, you must be affiliated to the University of Bern. There's no funding for a researcher from maybe Kenya to apply directly. I don't think there is any unless I'm yet to learn of, because most of the funding, there has to be a Swiss affiliation. So if somebody doesn't know anybody in Switzerland, then they will never have access to this kind of funding. So I'm receiving currently very many requests, please join us, but some of the research topics are not my priority areas. I would really, like I told you, I would like to help. I would like to open all these opportunities, and it's overwhelming to see that some of the research requests are very nice to engage in, but then so I cannot be the one to affiliate with everyone, you see. So I think funding that is more, not through the mainstream funding, I don't know what it will be called, but something more open that allows also people from outside to apply. The other one is collaboration. I'm sure the University of Bern, there are many colleagues who have worked a lot with colleagues from Africa through different programs. But then this collaboration should not end at the level of maybe having people helping you collect data, but move another level where you can also build capacity with PhDs, with masters, something that opens the doors for the people for growth, not only benefiting, for example, there's somebody coming from the global north and then going to the global south, as they are called, and then collecting data, coming back, publishing, no names of these people from these countries in the papers, this kind. So I always call it meaningful collaboration. That is fair and is kind and open to everyone with transparency. Yeah.
So high-level collaboration.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, very nice. So how will you actively promote exchanges between the University of Bern and African researchers in this context?
Yeah, I must say that at least where I am at the Visa Academy, I initiated the collaboration between the Visa Academy for Nature and the University of Nairobi, the Wangari Maathai Institute. Because I believe this will also open doors. For example, if somebody does not want to come to study at the University of Bern, maybe like in my case where I had my family and I wished I would have something that also helps me through funding and study locally, they can enroll in the local university but still have partnership with the University of Nairobi. So we can also have exchange programs that allows the person to come for 3 or 6 months to Switzerland but still be at home. That not everybody, because also with visa issues, it's not easy. So if we can have this approach that also allows like exchange programs where somebody they're still coming. You don't lock them out from coming, but they can have an option of coming, but also staying back home. But then we have a local university, whichever part of Africa we want it to be in West Africa. But then that flexibility in the program will be good. So that's really what I'm hoping for. And like I told you, I'm only 2 years, so I'm also still finding myself to adapt and learn how the structures work and what's possible and what is not possible. And I'm also still on tenure track as well, as you know. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of things in my plate, but really I have a dream that we can make processes that are flexible and easier for people to access through collaboration and funding. Because that, I think, is a key thing that is lacking a lot in our collaboration efforts.
Thank you very much. Collaboration effort, networking. So, do you belong to a specific African networking? And how do you think that they could integrate into Owuor or in the guild?
Okay, academically now, since I joined the University of Bern, there's been the Initiative Afrique, which I'm now a member of. But I'm also a member of, or partially I joined the students group for the BIPOC community. I also participate in this when I have the opportunity. But I'm also a member of the Swiss Kenya organization, where my husband now is the chairman. After 2 years of being in Switzerland, now he became the chairman. So, yeah, so through this fora, for me, the hope, of course, I must say I may not be the answer to everything, but in my 2 years, I think my dream has been to really see more people from Africa collaborating with people from Switzerland and being able to travel. Like now, people cannot travel for conferences, you know. So I really hope that, I don't know, maybe I'm told I'm a big dreamer, and I believe that things can work. Maybe it's too simplistic, but I believe with goodwill, these initiatives can really help us open up the doors and break some of the normal status quo way of doing things. Yeah.
Very nice. So how do you think the University of Bern could integrate into African universities in the future?
One, the University of Bern is really best placed because they have different centers that have worked with universities in Africa. So it could be the time then to assess how have these collaborations been and what have they achieved. Because it's only knowing what you've done before, learning from those lessons, that then you can create something new. Otherwise, you end up just doing the same thing and never learning. But also, it requires deep reflection, you know, and openness, and even breaking out of the business as usual, you know, change. And we know that change is not easy. Everybody wants to hold their power and their arms closed on either side. But I think it's a time when this is not necessary. So I think the University of Bern is really well placed, having checked and seen the different collaborations that have happened with different institutions. It will only be better that, as maybe, for example, we start the Initiative Afrique, that then we map all these activities and see what have they achieved, what were the aims, how far have they gotten us, because you cannot use what go to here to get you to the next level. Let's assess and see how, in the new outfits that we are putting up, how can we move to the next level, and what is the best way to do it as we move to the next level. Yeah.
Very nice. Change, integration, change. Keep on moving, keep on forward, and assessing what have been done.
And accepting to be uncomfortable.
These are very nice closing words. Thank you very much, Margaret, for your time, for your encouraging words, for everything that you're doing for science, for Africa, for the University of Bern, for integration. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and all the best with your plans with Initiative Afrique.